Hello, everybody. It's Sound Author, and today I am very proud to announce the release of Kinesis for Hive 2, which is my very first official UHI patch library. And it is an honor and a privilege to have the UHI stamp of approval on one of my sound sets. So I'm very excited about this. So the title, Kinesis, implies what this library is all about, which is movement. So there's quite a few dynamic sounds here. There are melodic sequences and percussive sequences, quite a few arpeggios, and as always, lots of beautiful, lush, ambient pads. And quite a few textures as well. So we might as well just shut up and start walking you through some of these patches. We will start with the melodic patches, the melodic sequences, and one thing I want to make clear before I confuse anyone is sometimes you will see in the patch description play some chords, and you might be thinking, well, if you can play chords, then why isn't it just in the ARPs section? And that was kind of a difficult decision to make, but an ARP, as you're playing a chord, will play one note at a time. So if you're in the melodic sequences and you see play some chords, what you're really looking at is a pulsing sequence, where it's really just a poly patch that plays several notes at once, but there's some rhythmic aspect happening on each voice. Okay, so think of it as a pulsing sequence. So those pulsing sequences just kind of got tossed in the melodic sequence folder. Okay, so let's play some chords. Mod wheel, a little bit of aftertouch, and let's see if my modulation mapping to these XY pads has worked. All of the XY pads in this library are custom done. There's no auto assignments. I have surgically gone in and made XY assignments for every single patch. So let's just go back to that chord. Fun. Moving right along. So I do have to kind of go back and forth to see whether or not this is a pulsing sequence or just a mono sequence. So this indeed is mono. Mod wheel. Okay. So let's take a look here. It always helps to have a MIDI controller with faders. That's what's controlling the modulation depth of each XY axis. So you can really mod wheel and aftertouch. Awesome. So, bouncy plucks. Is it a mono or poly? It is poly. Let's play some chords. It's been a while. once you get this deep into all these different kinds of modulations, you kind of don't know what to expect. There's all kinds of wonderful surprises. Okay, moving right along. And I believe this is a mono sequence. Yep. Okay. You will see on occasion some major and minor versions of the same sequence. I tried not to do that too much, right? Because there's 128 patches in this library. You don't just want to buy a library that's basically just 64 patches times 2, right? So I tried not to get carried away with doing major and minor versions. I think there's somewhere around 7 sets of major and minor sequences for both melodic and percussive sequences. Yeah. And it's just with the major, melodic, and percussive sequences. And the reason that I do that sometimes is when you're composing and you have a sequence happening that you really love, and then maybe you do a chord change and it's like a minor chord, and you're like, oh no, this sequence is only in a major key. Sometimes it's kind of a bummer that you can't have like a minor version of that sequence. So I did that a few times. Just like I said, spread throughout the melodic and percussive sequences, there's somewhere around 7 sets of major and minor sequences. So I didn't get too carried away with that, but that's why you see major and minor versions. So this one, like the last one, is just a minor version. That's borderline percussive, but it's in the melodic section. Okay, so this is another mono sequence. Just go to the minor, because most of the time you're probably going to be using minor sequences because they sound cooler. But, the major ones are there if you need them. Doing some XY stuff with those. Okay. Those faders. Okay. Let's just go to the minor version. I was doing some XY stuff there. It's a habit I have now since I've got these mapped in a Bitwig project. Whee! I should have made a control where I can speed up and slow down the rate of modulation. Oh well, it's just at that one constant rate. It's a bunch of random LFOs in Bitwig. Random modulators in Bitwig. Mapped to both the X and Y axes. But yeah, you can see them going away on each one. Fun. Some bit munchy stuff there. All right. Okie dokie, moving right along. Play with the XY controls, it says. Well, I will happily do that. Mod wheel. Aftertouch. Does it have an aftertouch assignment? It does not. I was like, what? Right. They don't all have aftertouch, but they have it when I could put it in there, it's in there. Sometimes you run out of slots. It happens. Ah, nice diatonic patch. And this will just be in whatever key your track is in. Some nice generative goodness. I just love to mess around with all these faders. Really take the XY controls to town. I love it. So this is mod wheel. This is one of the most generative patches in the library. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have faders. You can perform mod wheel. Lovely. Inner child, it's another mono sequence. This one I actually like in major. With the other sets, the major sequences are kind of there in a formality because, like I said, most of the time they'll use a minor. But this one, I actually really like it in a major key. Messing around with the XY controls here. Whee! Dude, I could just listen to that for like maybe a whole track that just revolves around that. Okay, so. I could go through what each one of these do, but basically XY1 is usually some kind of something going on within the oscillator. So it's often used for oscillator detuning or something happening with the wavetable. So sometimes it controls the wavetables, but it's some kind of oscillator behavior. XY2 is controlling some sort of usually the filter, or sometimes it will control the brightness of some of the new filters that we have in Hive 2. So sometimes it will control the sometimes we have like a comb filter, and we will have it's been a while since I've been programming in another synth. Dampness. Yeah, sometimes XY2 will control the dampness of a comb filter, and it'll darken it up and it'll make it brighter. XY3 is usually for dynamics like envelopes. So sometimes it'll make things snappier, and sometimes it'll do panning as well when maybe there's not much of a dynamic to shape if I'm using like filter ping or doing something more experimental. And XY4 is basically just for effects to control. Usually it's the the amount of delay and reverb, and of course it turns up and down feedback levels and stuff like that. So that general behavior is pretty much there for all of the patches. Basically, all of the patches have those XY assignments made in that fashion. Okay, moving right along. Did I play this one already? I did not. Whee! Getting a lot of wheeze here, sorry. I'm having fun. Okay. Play some chords. Okay, I will. That was Mod Wheel. Okay, so one thing I really focused on a lot with a lot of these sequences and also the ARPs is obviously I want things to be kind of generative, and there's a lot of fifths playing below the octave, fifths kind of stacked on top of the octave. And so I wanted things to be kind of musically generated, but also at the same time, I like to randomly modulate the levels of things. And so I love delay. And so a lot of these, both all the sequences and the ARPs, one of the most important things in generative music is silence. So there's often a couple of notes will play, and then it'll just let the delay do its thing. So I made sure that a lot of these sequences have that crucial element of rests. So the delay will just get to be a delay and echo for a little while the main instrument just kind of takes a little break, and then plays a couple more notes. And silence is important, especially when you've slathered delay all over everything. Let the delay just do its thing for a while, So yes, when people are doing generative sequences, sometimes they forget about the crucial element of silence. You need to, just stop playing for a moment. Let the delay echo, 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 okay? Talking too much. All right, so this is a mono sequence. Obviously, just like XY controls change everything. Okay. Paper tiger. Mod wheel. Okay. That's a chord. There's a chord sequence in there. Okay, so that is a 6-4-1-5 chord sequence. Just holding down one note. there's some resonance things happening here. Yeah, I'm big into layering, so, a lot of these patches are intended to be layered with pads and having arpeggios kind of sprinkled over them. Good stuff. Moving right along to another mono patch. Okay. Minor. Okay. Odd wheel. I love happy little accidents. Surprises. That's what I love about generative music. Never know where it's going. It's a mod wheel and aftertouch on top of all of this XY activity. You just end up with these crazy modulations. Awesome. Okay. This one's also diatonic, so it can be in the key of your track. You just have it there going. Maybe just quietly accompanying whatever you've got going on in your track. Mod wheel and aftertouch. See, I've also cheated with mod wheel and aftertouch because I've also got mod wheel and aftertouch assigned to some faders. So I'm just messing around with a bunch of faders. Cheating. I love my faders. Love that patch. Okay, and mod wheel. We got some rhythmic things too. Not everything is randomy. There's a little aftertouch, kind of thins, makes it kind of nasally. Okay. Mod wheel. I just love when some sounds are just, there's so much modulation happening and it's just so organic and just constantly it's evolving and mutating into just when you, especially when you have like a couple of patches layered together that are being mixed in some creative ways like that, everything just it transports you to a different dimension. And that's what this whole sound set is all about. It's a mono. This one is very, hence the name implies, bit crushy, munchy. It's a lot of sample rate reduction happening. Also, if during this demo, if some of these patches seem a little quiet, that's because I have a tendency to make my patches really sensitive because I like there to always be the ability to play really quietly, especially when you're doing things like film scoring. It can be very important to... Okay, so sometimes maybe I don't play hard enough and the patch sounds quiet, but that's just because it's very velocity sensitive. Okay, let's keep going. Another mono patch. Controls. That one's got a really nice, mysterious kind of vibe to it. I dig it. Okay. Mod wheel. There's these descending kinds of resonances in the background. All right. Cool. Almost done with these melodic sequences. This one is Pali, so I am to play some chords. Okay. And the final melodic sequence. Oh, it's mono. Whoops. Gotta pay attention. Read the patch description. And those... Wait, let's get some XY goodness in here. Alrighty, and I have to let my dog out to go to the bathroom, so we will be back with the percussive sequences.